All right. Today what we're going to look at is an example of Project 2B. Again, you should have received an email for Scripture Lecture 2B. Is the link came up as a Google Sheet? It should not have. Or when you have to download it to your computer. Um, Unless you're on a Chromebook. If you're on a Chromebook, then it'll have no choice but to come up as a Google Sheet. But when you open it up in an email, see, show you an example. Let's see, someone sent me an attachment or something recently. They did. So like if you open up something in the email, don't really worry about what all this is. That's a Excel spreadsheet. What will happen is if you just go straight to open, it may automatically be set up on your end to go straight to Google Sheet. See how that's an option here? That'll be the first thing it'll do. Like if you just go straight to like clicking on it like that, it'll open it up as a Google Sheet. Uh, no, I did not. I didn't have it as a Google Sheet, so it should not have been emailed as a Google Sheet. See, this is a Excel file, so you have to download it so that you can see it as an Excel file. The only way it will translate automatically would have been what I just showed you, or you're on a Chromebook, which case you wouldn't be able to open Excel anyway. I don't think you're on a Chromebook though. If I remember correctly, you have a. Right. Did you did you download it, for instance? I want to make sure that's you get that correct. Okay. All right. Okay. Keep me updated if it's still not letting you download it or something, then that's a different issue. And we'll have to work on it. So just let me know. All right, but for everyone else, go ahead and open up the Excel file that I sent you. Oh, okay. Let's see. Hold on a sec. You you're unmuted now. And you said the headphones are not. Um, you're muted again. Okay. You if you're trying to speak, if you go to the mic, or sorry, if you go to the more on your more options and controls, the little three dots, you should see the option for switching audio or the audio settings. They just changed it this week, so it's gonna look a little different. Oops, I mean to do that. All right, that should help you just maybe get some changes there. Uh, Remember, anytime you download something offline, it's an Office application, you need to enable editing if you trust it. Ah, all right, so the first thing it asks us to do is to rename the Sheet 1 tab to Online Sales, and then we're going to change got it, okay, good. Uh, so yeah, we're going to rename the Sheet 1 tab. So there's two ways to rename something. You can right click on it, go to rename, or if you double click directly on the Sheet tab, it'll allow you to begin editing it. So it's Online Sales, that's there. Online Sales, and this is going to be in-store sales. And now I need to change the tab color. This is another cool thing you can do. So if you right click on it, you'll see an option for tab color. And this way you can more easily identify tabs based off color instead of trying to read for it. So it can make things a lot easier for you. So I'm going to choose orange accent 6 for online sales. And for in-store color, I am going to choose blue accent 1. And that's pretty much it for the sheet tabs at the moment. Okay, we'll see how you can reorder these two later. But yes, so you can rename them. You can change the color of them as well. All right. So now we're enter some different. We're going to enter some data. We're going to get some different formats that we have not seen before. So click on the online sales tab. We're currently on the online sales tab, and it says go to A16. So in cell A16, you see the date is 5/11 here. It says to change the date to 3/14/12 type. Most of the time when students see this, they say, oh, okay. They type 3/14/12 in here. That is not what that says to do. It says to change the type of the date. So this means we're going to change the format of it. Notice right here, when we look at the home tab in the number group, it already says date here. But this is just one of the different ways to display date. This is the, as you see, there's a long date and a short date as well. But there's more than that. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna launch the format cells dialog box for the number tab. And I did that by clicking that dialog box launch button that's in the corner of the number group. And so to change it, now see, it's already set to date because it knows what cell we're in and it knows the category that it has for the number format. You'll notice here we have different types, and this is what we were told to do, to change the date type. So we're changing this to 3/14/12. When I do that, you see now the sample is also changed to show me what this is going to become. Okay, so it was 5/11. Now it's going to become 5/11/18. I click OK. That change has been done. Right. It now says to type into this 6-9-18, which is a different type of date type. But because Excel is always trying to help you, the background will recognize this as a date and change it to the type that it should be based off of what we selected just now. As you can see, it changed to the backslashes. Oh, sorry. That's actually supposed to go down here in A19. So we undo and put that back in. When I typed it in, it went to date again, which was the date that was the way it was formatted originally. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the format that we just created here for this cell, and I'm going to copy it to this cell. Well, copying and pasting, you all are familiar with from using the area application, I think of probably. You have Control C for copy, Control X for cut, Control V for paste. Well, we can do that in the Home tab in the clipboard. Oh, sorry. We can do that in the Home tab in the clipboard group. But there's a way to copy the formats as well. And that's called Format Painter. So if you click on Format Painter with the format that you want selected, so right now this is the cell that has the format we want selected. So I'm gonna click Format Painter. It now has copied that format. Notice in the status bar it says use the mouse to apply the copied format to another object. And so I can just click on here and it'll paste the format on top of it. Okay. So it's kind of like painting it to look the same. That's why it's called Format Painter. Okay. All right. Any questions there? Sweet. So next it asks for us to clear the contents of cell A1. So I'm going to select A1. Now we've seen clear contents before, but in case you forgot, it's in the Home tab, in the Editing group. Here's the clear drop down, looks like an eraser. And we can select clear contents. Now clear contents will clear what is inside of the cell. I got rid of online now, and notice how this was an orange accent 6. That's what it is down here too. I was kind of matching that color scheme. But here we're gonna delete A2, and you may recall how we said if you just press delete, it clears the content. If you want to actually delete the cell, you have to actually right click and then do delete, or the cells group up here, click delete. But in this case, press delete, so we're pressing the delete key. The content is gone. So remember, to clear content, you can use content and home tab in the editing group under clear, or you can just press delete. So cell A1 though, we're going to type in online, and we're going to clear formats because we already have our orange tab represented down here. Going back to the editing group, clear command. This time I'm going to do clear formats. And then here tell you what we can undo by clearing format. So we clear formats here. Look what happens on the date. We cleared the formats of the date. Let's see, Control Z, Control Y. We cleared the formats of the date. So it was this before that. This is that same date code. So every date has a specific number that goes along with it. I am honestly not sure where this number comes from. We probably could look some stuff on. I know it has to do with a certain number of days, like from a starting point. I believe it may be when Excel was created. But there are other applications that use your computer's timer in order to do stuff like this. So I want to say it's probably coming from that, but it could be from whenever Excel was created as well. I honestly do not know. That'd be something interesting to look up. If someone wants to do that sometime and let us know where these numbers come from. Probably have to be. I may have to do it myself. So I'm gonna undo that. It said to undo it. It was just to show you what dates actually look like. And yes, you can type that in yourself and then change it to date. You know, it's kind of weird. Sometimes it doesn't work too well. Uh, but yes. So if you ever have dates and you see numbers like that show up, then you might need to do some stuff to like changing its number format to date in order to get it appropriately. You usually have to change the type from there. Okay. All right. So let's go copy and paste. So it says to copy A4 to A19. So A4 to A19. I'm gonna copy it. So Control C. And then we're gonna go to the in-store sales sheet. And then we're gonna paste it. Notice how it doesn't have that information here at all. Now it does. Notice here in the status bar, it still says select destination and press enter or choose paste. That's because this stuff is still on the clipboard in Excel, and it keeps whenever you're copying something or cutting something, what it'll do is it'll actually put this border around it that's moving around to let you know, hey, I am copying this, or I have this on a clipboard. I'm ready to move this somewhere. Tell me where to go. And the cool part about this is that you can just select somewhere and press enter, and it automatically will go. Most people just use paste because that's what we're used to. But one thing that's important about this, sometimes people do this on accident and they don't mean to, and they freak out. They're not sure what to do, and they just start clicking everywhere. Not stopping. Why is it not stopping? Okay, finally it stopped. Instead of doing that, I've said this before, but whenever you're stuck in a cell, you always want to escape, like Shawshank Redemption, yeah, or was it? I can't remember the movie. The movie when Morgan Freeman's in jail. But you can press the escape key. So if you're ever stuck in it, just press escape. I think it actually even tells you that in the status bar. It doesn't. I think it's one of the other ones tells you that. All right. So that's how you copy and paste. You all have copy and pasted before, but that's how you can safely copy and paste. And if you're ever stuck within that border, just press escape. All right. So questions so far? Sweet. All right, now we're back on the online sales sheet tab. We're going to right click on this tab and we're going to do select all sheets. What do you think that's going to do? Going to select all the sheets. Notice that both of them are a little bolder and kind of popped out. That means currently all sheets are selected. All sheets are in use. You'll notice at the top in your status bar, it actually has the title of your Excel file, and then it says group in square brackets. Okay, that group means they are grouped together. When you have worksheets grouped together, whatever you do on one automatically happens on the other. It's very important to remember. The reason that's cool is because sometimes sheets will look pretty much the same, and you'll need to do the same type of calculations on them. And if that's the case, the easiest thing to do is to group them together beforehand, and it'll save you a lot of time. I actually did this last night. I forgot about it first. So I was doing a homework project in Excel, and when I was doing it, I realized like, wait, I'm doing the same commands. I was like almost done though. But I'm like, I'm doing the same commands. I have to do this again. Why didn't I just group the worksheets together? Because I didn't think about that ahead of time. I didn't think that, oh, I need to do the same thing on these sheets. If I had, it would have saved me a lot of time because it took me about 12 minutes to do what I needed to do. But then on the next group of two sheets, I remembered that. So because I just forgot to do it beforehand. So I was able to do that. But it's a very powerful tool that most people don't know about, or when they do, they're like, oh, why would I ever use that? Because I could just do it on my own. Saves you a lot of time. All right, so but with these sheets grouped together, we're going to do a couple of changes to both of them at the same time. For instance, we're going to select columns A through F, and we are going to set their width to 90 pixels. I have once again been getting a couple of emails from people asking, and some complaining and some yelling. Or it seems like yelling. You guys probably aren't yelling. You know, it's all through text, so it's kind of hard to understand that. But when everything's in all caps, it can seem like yelling. Just so you all know. But about, hey, I changed the column width to what you say, and that's not the right width. And as I've said before, and I'm going to say it again now, every computer, some computers may start off with their screen resolution and display setting at a higher percentage. When that occurs, especially in Excel, you can really see it, but the amount of pixels are going to be different because you are zoomed in. If you're zoomed out, it would be kind of the same, except you probably wouldn't have the issue that people are discussing. But most of the time for these newer computers, especially the smaller ones with smaller screens, they automatically set it to 110%. Therefore, when you try to emphasize the 90, it doesn't cover it enough because it's zoomed in at 110%. Okay, so that means all the text will automatically be bigger by 10%. So that's something to think about. If I ask for a specific width and you aren't cool with it because it's not fitting your screen, just let me know in your submission in the comments that I changed the width because I couldn't view it on my screen. Okay, and just tell me what you changed it to. That's it. That's the simplicity of it. These are set to. I have specific ones set. And the book has some specific ones set for 100% screen resolution. So it would fit on a screen that had that. Okay. So don't worry about it. It's not that big of a deal, but just let me know if it happens. Don't freak out on me or send me all cap texts and emails telling me that I'm wrong for my width size. Okay, cool. That hasn't been any of you I can think of. Is it at 100%? Most yes, most of them most computers start off at 100%. Mine's is at 100% right now. Some start off, especially smaller screens, start off at 110%, and you can change it yourself too. Uh, but I tend to tell people not to worry about changing it that percentage. Okay. All right. Let's see where we're at here. Okay, so in cell A2, yeah, you're welcome. In cell A2, let's type week of June 7th. Press enter. And what we're going to do is we are going to select A2 through F2, and we're going to give it heading 1 style. And I'm going to merge and center that too. Okay, so now it looks a lot better. I missed the part where did I move it to the later part? Nope, I guess I didn't. I may have forgotten to put in here when I made this to do the online sales as well, but that's okay. Let's just continue for on. So D4, in cell D4, remember we're still grouped together, so what we're doing on one is going to happen on the other. But in cell D4, we're going to type in total parts, sales, and in E4, we're going to type in installations. And in F4, we're going to type in total sales. All right. Then A4 through F4, we're going to give 3 style. Okay. And because we can't see everything here, what we're going to do is we're going to first center it. So we'll go to alignment group, use center. I'm going to give it middle alignment as well, which is right above it. So it's centering it vertically. And then I'm going to wrap text. Okay. So notice here that everything that we do is also on in store. Like they were grouped together. So what you do on one will automatically happen on the other. All right. So now that I clicked on here, just as I did, I ungrouped them. If you ever want to ungroup cells, something else you can do is right click on it and click ungroup sheets. Or sorry, if you want to ungroup sheets, it says cells, I'm bad. But we want to have ours ungrouped right now. So I'm going to do some things that are going to be slightly different. So here in cell A1, I'm going to replace this to parts and installations. This is where I had it. Okay. Weekly online sales. And I am going to do A1 and F1, merge and center, and give it a title, sales style. Okay. And so for installations in E5 through E11, I'm going to type the data that was given to me. And I'm going to try to see if it'll let me cheat in Word. It was giving me some problems last time. Yeah, it did it. All right, cool. Okay, there we go. And so I copied and pasted that from the table that was in Word. But when I pasted it, notice that the borders were there and it was different font. So if you press Control or you click here for paste options, you can tell it to match the destination's formatting. In other words, match what's already in Excel for your formatting. Don't use the formatting that you had from Word. And so that's very powerful too. We'll look at more different paste options future in the class. But if you're ever using any Office application, this is something that's very important to know. So you can use your source formatting, so keep it at the same format as where it came from, or match to the destination formatting, so the where you're pasting it to. And that's the one you tend to want to use match destination formatting. There are cases where you wouldn't, but most of the time that's what you would want to do. If you're using Gmail, here's just a cool tidbit about using things in Google. You can do this automatically using Control Shift V for paste. If you do that, it will match destination formatting. If you use Control V, it will match your source formatting, unless it is not allowed to, based off when it was copied. And some web pages will not allow you to keep that formatting, or Google will not be able to use that formatting because this application can't. Okay, so cool little tidbit there. All right, so now we're going to display in store sales sheet. We have some things here we're going to change. So for instance, this guy here, it's going to be, as you guys probably can guess, parts and installations, weekly in store sales. And we are going to once again merge and center this and give it a title cell style. I'm going to add the installations, do the same thing I did last time. I'm going to copy and paste it from the Word doc. And when I paste it over here, what I actually could do is off the bat, since I know what I'm going to do, go straight to here so I can match destination formatting. Cool. Any questions about that copy and paste? Okay. All right. Sweet. Now now we're gonna do some calculations. So we need to find out what the total part sales are, and then we need to know what the total sales would be after that. So those of you, oops, make that a capital W so it looks better. Those of you that have ever had car parts installed, you know it, or well, actually this goes for anything really, but you pay for the part and then you have to pay them to do some labor to install it. That's what this is. We're gonna find out how much the parts are actually gonna be are gonna actually cost, and then how much it's gonna cost for installation. So, but if you notice here, these are the same stuff, right? I mean, different data, but what we're going to be doing, the calculations we're doing are going to be the same. Okay. So since the calculations are the same, how about we just group the sheets together? So I'm going to select all sheets. And we're going to do, since they're both selected, they're grouped together. That means if we do something on one, it'll automatically happen on the other. So what we're going to do here is we're going to do our calculations. So I need total part sales, but we have accessories and we have phones. So this would just be the summation of these two things. Since I'm lazy, I'm going to use auto sum. So I'm going to press Alt equals, or you can click auto sum in the editing group if you want, or you could do equal sum and type it out, however you want to do it. But remember, Alt equal will do auto sum for you from the keyboard. That's a nice little shortcut. I know a couple people have emailed me about 3 students have emailed me about explaining and using more shortcuts. It seemed like they really enjoyed that. So if you are into like learning shortcuts to do things faster, that's cool. If I talk about it, just kind of ignore it then if you're not into it. But I have had some people ask for more, so I'm gonna try my best to add as many as I can when I'm talking through here. I don't want to hold you to with like, oh, which way should I do it? I just want you to be able to do things as quickly as you can. So when it comes to summing, Alt equals. I remember that because the equals button has a plus sign above it, and it's equals, so that's a sum. That's how I remember that at least. So I do Alt that. Yeah. So something else is gonna come up. Something else, if you ever like for some reason your mouse isn't working too well, if you press Alt, you hopefully you all can see, but I get these letters that appear on my screen in certain areas. Oh, sorry, let me do that again. If I were to press those, it would actually go to that area. So for instance, if I press N, see where it's come up, it goes to the insert tab, and then now I can do more things within the insert tab. If I press H, it goes to the home tab, and now I could use some of these directly by just using the keyboard. I try not to do that too much for myself, because a lot of times those letters blur in together for me. But all right, let's fill out the rest of this. So I'm gonna Use the fill handle to do so. Okay. And then lastly over here for total sales. So the total sales would be the parts plus the installation. I'm going to do D5 plus E5. Let me use the fill handle. Okay, cool. All right. So, any questions there so far? All right. Well, since these are already grouped, we're going to do something else here. We're going to add a total line. So I'm going to add total down here. And then I'm going to take B5 through F12. And then I'm going to do auto sum. Now remember, the way auto sum works is that it will look at your data, and in this case, it's going to do the summations down here of each column. Sometimes when you do this, it could do this side, and if it does, you just realize I made a mistake, and then go back and do it manually. But we do all equals here, and there's an algorithm behind it for it to recognize which one to do. The fact that this is a sum of these two things and this is a sum of these two things, it knows that it probably shouldn't put it here. So it puts it at the bottom as a guess, which this is what we want to do. But I always check to make sure. So if I use auto sum, I'm going to look to see did it do exactly what I wanted to do. Anytime Excel automatically does something for you, you should make sure it's doing what you want it to do. Okay. That is I can't stress that enough. There are a lot of times that people make a lot of mistakes in the professional world that have been working with spreadsheets for years. They still make this mistake. They'll, oh, Excel did it for me, I'm good to go, and they keep going, and then it'll be 3 years down the line that people realize that they had the wrong numbers, or because of a mistake from years ago. That was something that happened. I keep up with some spreadsheet news. I'm a spreadsheet nerd. There's actually a conglomerate of people that audit spreadsheets and talk about spreadsheet disasters in the world. Yeah, people like that exist. Okay, so let's see. Next, we're going to give A5 through A12 its own style. Give it a heading 4 style. You may notice too that title style, right underneath it, heading 1 style, makes sense. You'll also probably have noticed a lot of times when I do the columns, they're heading 3 and the rows are heading 4, because the columns are usually more important for people to know, like to recognize. So that's why it gets a higher heading. In real life, you may decide to do things differently. This is just a generalization of what people normally do and what looks well. Okay, so these are other things that you can pick up on while you're using this. All right, so just like normal, we're going to make B5 through F12 and B12 through F12 into accounting number format. So we get that $ on it. Okay. And you probably recognize then that means the rest of this is going to, that the rest of this is going to be, that's right, comma style. So we don't have that $. Everything's all nice and evenly lined up and looks all pretty. And also, something else you probably recognize by now, we're going to give this a total sales style at the bottom, which makes it bold and also gives it that line above and 2 lines at the bottom. Looks like we're summing things up and saying that this is the end of it. Okay. All right. So next, we're going to ungroup our sheets. And notice that what we did on the online sales is also done on the in-store sales. Look at that. Isn't that great? Beauty of grouping sales together, or grouping sheets together. I don't know why I keep saying sales, but that saved us a lot of time, right? So far it took us about 20 minutes to do the things that we did on on the cells that were when they were grouped, or sorry, on the sheets when they were grouped together. So can you imagine if we hadn't done that, it would have taken us about 40. Okay. Also, there was me explaining in between that. So, but just think about that. How much time was saved? Save half the time. All right. So now that we got that, let's go back here. The online sales sheet. It really doesn't matter, but what we're gonna do now is we got some data about online sales. We have some data about in-store sales. And let's say I'm in charge of the company. I want to know what's going on, period. Like I may want to look at individual stuff with online and in-store. I really want a general summary of things. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add a new sheet. So to add a new sheet, there's this plus sign down here. I know we've seen this before, but there's this plus sign down here. Notice it says new sheet in the screen tip. I press that. Look where it put it. It put it in between the two. That's because it will always go after whatever whatever sheet is currently selected. So online sales sheet was what was selected, and we press new sheet, so it put it after that. If I had in-store sales selected, it would have put it after that. Don't really matter. We're going to move it anyway. So let's name this guy summary. So remember, you can double click on it, or you could right click and click rename. And then we're going to change the tab color to red. So right click, tab color. Going to good old red. So in this new sheet, what we're going to do is we are going to take column A through E, column A through E. We're going to give it a column width of 120. Come on. Nice and slow. Okay. And in cell A1, we're going to do sales of parts and installations. And we're going to take A through E and merge and center that. Give it a title cell style. Based on the fact it says sales of parts and installations, you probably can gather we're going to get stuff from both of these sheets. In A2, we're going to do week of June 7th. Same thing that we did before. We're going to merge and center. Heading 1 style. Then we're going to go to B4. And we're going to do parts / installation sales. And in C4, we're going to do parts sales. And in E4, we're going to do installations. And in E4, we're going to do total sales. Right? These columns may look familiar. We had our part sales here, the total part sales. We had installations, and then we had total sales. All right. So we're going to take this and give it, oops, that's that. We're going to take this and we're going to give it heading 3 style. Got our columns here. And then we're going to give it center and middle alignment and wrap text. So center, middle, wrap text. Another thing that the common thing I do is if I have data in these cells, I do the column width based off the data, not the column headers. Because column headers tend to be longer than the length of the length of the actual data that's in there. And if that happens, then I can just increase the row and wrap text, which looks a lot better than having parts and installation cell and everything going up to like right here, like halfway across. Okay. So that's just another little tidbit. All right. So, so now I am going to go to cell A5 and I'm going to type online sales because that's the type of cells that we had. And the other type of cells we had were in-store cells. All right. Pretty good so far. Any questions about what we've done so far? Get some soda water. Okay. All right, so now we have all this information over on these different sheets, right? So we could just go to online sales and then, okay, it's 182301, and I'm gonna go here and type in type over here, type in 182301, and I can do that for all of these. That may take some time, but why do that? Especially if someone else goes in here and says, "Oh, Sunday we made this amount of money," and so this changes. Then I have to go back in and change it again. Instead of doing that, instead of going in and saying, "Okay, how much is this? Okay, let me paste that here. Okay, how much is this one? Let me paste that here." What I can do instead is set them equal to each other through referencing them. That way, if a change is made here, which will change this will automatically be updated. Okay, so this is another way to refer cells to a different worksheet. We've already seen how to refer to cells being relative or absolute on the same worksheet. Now we're going to see how that becomes a little different, very little different, with when you're doing it on a different worksheet. Okay. So in cell C5, what I'm going to do is I'm type equals. Then I'm going to go to the online cell sheet. Okay. I'm going to go back. I'm going to do that again. I'm going to press equals. Then I'm going to click on the online cell sheet. This time, I want you to pay attention to the formula bar. Because remember, whatever you type down here is going in the formula bar at the same time. Okay. Equals is how we begin all our formulas. So when I click on online sales, look what happens up here. You see online sales in quotes and an exclamation point. That lets Excel know that what you're about to do needs to come from the online sales sheet. So this is referring to this sheet. To refer to a sheet, you put the sheet name in quotes, and then you put an exclamation point. Okay. So now I'm going to click D12. Because this is the total of all my part sales for online sales. Notice D12 is put up here. So most people at this point would then go back and click summary. Look what happens when you do that though. Because you are still entering in your formula, it refers back to the sheet that you're on now. It says, oh, you meant the summary sheet. No, we meant the online sales sheet. So to get out of this now, what you should do is either click enter here or press enter. Either one. Click enter or press enter. And then go back and check. Notice it says equals online sales D12. Okay. All right. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to drag this over. There's a reason I did that, because I'm lazy. Instead of us going back and forth and doing the equals online, because this was set up with the parts, the installation, and total sales, and our summary is set up the same way. This is another reason why I set these columns up to be the same. Is that way we can just do a fill handle to drag this over. And so now these will reflect what they should reflect. All right, we're going to do the same technique down here for in-store sales. So I'm going to do equals. look at the formula bar and go to in-store cells. Notice it says in-store cells, and I'm going to select D12. And I'm going to click or press enter. I'm going to click enter this time. Notice that that's the same amount. Then I'm going to do a fill handle here. Save me some time. Any questions about what we just did? Using a sheet reference. Sweet. So sheet references are very important, especially when you have data across multiple sheets. That's a good tool to use. I cannot tell you how many people don't effectively use it. They'll do exactly what I was talking about before. They'll copy and paste stuff over, which yeah, you can get some results, but it's better to have it linked. That way you don't have to worry about if anything has to change on one side, going back and having to recopy and paste things over. Okay. Which I have seen people do still. So do that. All right. All right. So last little thing over here. So we're in A7. A7 on the summary sheet, we're going to put total. And then I'm going to select C5 through E6 here. Oh yeah, I cheated, so that's why it's doing that. I'm going to select C5 through E6. And I'm going to do auto sum. So my equals. Notice it puts those totals below it. Cool. All right. So next up is I'm going to go to the in-store seller sheet and I'm going to change something. So I want you guys to look very closely at these values here for in-store sales. Okay. Oops. Selected. Look at these values carefully. So we're in the in-store sales sheet, and I am going to change B8 to 400. All of these things changed here. Look at what the values are now. Go to summary. Those automatically changed. So see how important that was instead of have copy and pasted it? Because we would have had to go back and copy and paste these guys in, which would have had to go, then would change these values. This way, changing one cell is all we had to do. Okay. All right. So on the summary sheet, we're going to do is we're going to change E6 to E6 to comma style. Somehow I automatically have that selected. When we get comma style, that's what we're used to, right? The top layer has the dollar signs and the bottom one has the dollar signs. These guys should be accounting number format. They already are because of how we selected ourselves. So I just need to give this guy total cell style. Good. Okay. I'm gonna give A5 to A7 heading 4 style so they can look a little better. Now we're almost done. Any questions so far before we move to the spark lines? This one seems a lot more straightforward than 2A, right? It always does to me, at least, and most of the time seems to go by quickly for students too. But there still is generally I don't want to really say struggle. It's more like a stubbornness to want to just copy and paste these values directly from the other one instead of using the sheet reference. So make sure you guys use the sheet reference when you're doing your assignment. Okay. All right. And then there's also people usually take a long time doing these assignments because they, instead of doing the grouping of sheets together to do, especially when you're doing things that are the same, what they'll do is they'll do it on one and then go back and do it on the other. In fact, when you do Project 2G next week, it will tell you to do that. I'm going to suggest you don't. just because it'll save you time. It's good learning. Okay, so B5 to B6, B7. This parts installation cells. What we're gonna do is we're gonna add some spark lines, so that we can see what's going on. So, oh, that's okay. You shouldn't have a group right now. Yeah. Okay, cool. Oh, you lost your group before? Yeah. If you lose your group, you wanna just like bring it back together. In fact, I'll tell you guys something now. So if you want to group some multiple sheets together, so like in this case, let's say, like she said, she lost her group and she realized a mistake or something, and she wanted to go back and do it for both of them. I can have online cell selected, hold the control key, and then select the other one, and now these two sheets are grouped without having to group summary in there. Okay. So, which you guys have done before, right? We've multi-selected. You press Control and then you click on what the other thing you want to select. It's the same thing with the sheet tabs that it is with the cells. Okay, so that's just a little tip back. Yeah, no problem. Because I'm trying to sprinkle some of those in there. There's some other things that you can do too for grouping, which I may show you, I think, towards the end here. Okay, so in this cell, what we're going to do is we're going to add some column spark lines. So I'm going to take C5 and D5. I want to see how different it is, part cells versus installation cells. And I'm going to insert, and I'm going to the spark lines group. I'm going to do column. And so I told you guys before about this. So what columns spark line is going to do is it's going to literally create column, like a little mini column chart within cell B5. And what it's going to do is the one that's the highest, it's going to make it go to the top of that cell. And the one that's the smallest, it's going to go up comparatively to that other column. Okay. So what we should see here, because this is much taller than that, it should be full all the way on this half of it. And then the other part should probably go up a little less than half. So column spark lines here. Where are we putting it? B5. Click OK. So see that? Fill it all the way. Went up. Well, kind of hard to even really tell, but it's less than half. I wonder if I don't do this. I'm just going to do this to see what happens. Yeah, it's much more visible. It just filled it up the whole way. It didn't even try to fill out the other one. All right. I think I told you guys before that I would only use smart lines. I would never use column, because I don't really see a point in what just happened. I can get that from looking at these guys here. That's just me. I'm pretty sure there's probably people in the world that use column, but like I've said before, I wouldn't use it. But you guys do need to learn about it. So now that we got that done, we're gonna do the same thing for in-store cells. So I'm gonna insert me a column spark line, tell it to go into B6. Okay. Notice it's going the other way, it's going up. Okay. Now that we got that, the first one had its own special style, spark line style. Let's differentiate these guys. Let's give in-store cells a different style. So I'm gonna click here. And let's apply sparkline styles 6. No dark, no light. That's 5 still. Wait a minute, where am I at? Accent 2. These are all accent 2. Okay, here we go. Sorry. So accent 2, no dark, no light. Accent 6, no dark, no light. Okay. Honestly, I personally probably would switch these because then that orange matches up with orange. That one matches up with that. But probably what I meant to do when I wrote that, actually. But anyway, I'm gonna go off what's on the sheet right now. I'll have to make that change for next semester. So move, excuse me. move. Oh, oh, we're going to move this summary sheet tab. What just happened? We're going to move the summary sheet tab to be in the front because it makes more sense for it to be in the front. Sorry, my mouse was acting up. So to move it, we literally can just grab it and we can tell it where to go. Notice there's a little arrow. If I want to put it on the end, I can put it here. I'm going to put it to the left of online sales though. So now that's the order: summary, online, and then in store. So we're pretty much all done now. The only thing we're going to do now here though is to do the center horizontally at your footer, properties, that stuff. So instead of doing that for each sheet separately, how about we do it for all of them at one time? Anyone got an idea how to do that? Yes, we're going to group them. So if we group all our worksheets together, we can then go to our page layout, page setup, and center our page horizontally. Go to our footer, custom footer, insert file name on the left side. Okay. I'm gonna go here, add my tags. All right. So we're all good here. If I were to now ungroup these sheets, I want you guys just to see what I was talking about. Notice that it did center it horizontally and it did add the footer. So if you have multiple sheets, you do the same thing on all of them. Grouping them is the way to go. No matter how menial task seems. Okay. All right. So I'm gonna file here. I'm gonna print. I'm just looking at something here. All right, workbook. So I can see what this looks like on an actual paper. If this got printed out, this is what this would look like. Which looks pretty darn professional if you ask me, right? Everything looks like it's the same kind of format. Sweet. And that's it. So I'm gonna file and I'm gonna save this as, yes, very nice. Oops. I'm gonna save this as the fall 2020 version. Cool. All right, and that's it. We got 15 minutes to spare. Anyone has any questions about their assignments? No one? Okay. Well, if no one has anything, I'll let you guys out 13 minutes early. Yeah. So, I'm gonna stay on just in case. But yeah. I will see you all next Tuesday then. So have a great weekend. Yeah. If anyone has any questions, you can stay. But yeah, that was a great class. Thanks, everyone. So, Sandra, do you have anything? No? All right. Cool. I will see you all next week then. Enjoy doing 2B and 2A. Okay.